Seismic, a totemic victory, and the safety of women and girls has been brought about by our very own superstar GB News presenter, Michelle Dewberry. That all centres around the single-sex changing rooms for women. And here to tell us more now is GB News presenter Michelle Dewberry and also the Executive Director of Sex Matters, Maya Forstater. Welcome to you first, Dewbs. Dewbs, this all kicked off last May. This May, beg your pardon, didn't it, where, how should we put it, a gentleman got his bits out in the women's dressing room. You took umbrage with that. Tell us what happened next.
Well, look, as anyone that watches my programme will know, I feel passionately about the safety of women and girls. And I also feel very passionately that your sex is your sex. It's not something that's just randomly kind of assigned to you to fill a checklist once you're born. It's a biological reality and one that actually cannot be changed. Now, fast forward to very recently, I was at my gym, a Virgin Active gym, and I was very distressed, actually. I just got dressed after a workout, and entering my gym was a man, a male, wearing female clothes. So I went to the management of the gym and I asked them, this is a female single-sex changing room. It was very clearly identified as such. The signs outside the door said women's changing. The signs inside the door said that boys over the age of 8 had to use the male changing room. So, of course, I was uncomfortable getting undressed there, as any woman would be. Their response absolutely shocked me. They basically said that those changing rooms are for however members basically identify. So if you're a man and you identify as being trans or even non-binary, then you were very welcome in those facilities. Now, everyone will be aware that that is not in keeping with the law. For Women Scotland, a fantastic activist group, they took legal action in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled back in April that that is not the case. Those spaces have to be designated by biological sex. Anyway, I was very disappointed with the response that I got from Virgin Active, Martin. So I teamed up with Sex Matters, and we'll speak to them in a sec. And I also teamed up with a fantastic lawyer, and I commenced legal action against Virgin Active. And our requests were very simple: that you bring your policy in line with the law, that you communicate all of those changes to your members, and that you adopt your signage so that actually it reflects a single-sex space. And I'm delighted to say that today, which was my legal deadline day before we did indeed drag them through the courts, they've done exactly that. So 4 months after meandering along comfortably following the Supreme Court judgment and not updating their policies at all, on our deadline day, yes, I am delighted to say seismic victory for women and girls. It's not just about this one gym. It's not just about me in my changing room. It's about all of us females. We have an absolute right, a legal right, not to have men in those intimate single-sex spaces. And now this company, they have folded. They've finally decided to act in keeping with the law, and I, for one, am delighted.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account, and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days, and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
Well, I tell you what, Dewbs, a lot of people watching this channel will no doubt be feeling exactly as I am now, and Maya Forstater there, I can see you beaming away, because Michelle Dewberry, of course, is right. This isn't just a victory for Michelle. It's not just a victory about Virgin, the Virgin Group. It's a victory for women. These institutions seem to think they're above the Supreme Court. They're not. This is a victory today. Tell us how significant this is, not just for Michelle, for Virgin, but for all British women.
We think it's very significant. Virgin Active, in their letter back to Michelle, said that they had been following what they thought was the law because that was what they'd been told by UK Active, which is the group that all gyms and leisure centres, sports centres around the country are members of. And so they were doing what they thought was the law, but it wasn't. And since April this year, when the Supreme Court said that nobody's sex changes with a certificate or without one, and that single-sex services should be single-sex, everyone should have been following the law from that day. It's taken 4 months for Virgin Active to get in line with the law, which is disgraceful. And there are still leisure centres and sports centres up and down the country that are not following the law. But I think the fact that Michelle stood up, that she was willing to take legal action, and Virgin saw that, we explained to them what the Equality Act means and that they'd be at risk of committing sex discrimination and allowing sexual harassment, obviously, by letting, somebody who's male, who has a male body, who is basically a man, who identifies as a trans woman, as, calls himself female or non-binary, into a space where women are changing and showering and getting undressed. It's really obvious now. And so they've backed down, they've changed their policy, they've changed it on their website, they're going to change it on their signage, and really importantly on their training. They're going to tell their staff how to treat everybody with dignity, with respect, and they have a unisex option in most of their sports centres. So it's not that they're forcing people into a changing room they don't want to be in, but they're making clear which changing rooms people are allowed to be in. And men, however they dress, whatever they call themselves, whatever pronouns they've got, are not welcome in women's changing rooms.
OK, final word to you, Michelle Dewberry. I know you're on a day off today, but the news never sleeps, and thank you for sharing with it on the show. You can clearly now inspire a lot of other women out there to take up their arms, if you like, and fight back. What would you say to other women out there who see this happening in their public spaces, their private spaces? What should they do?
Well, I want to make clear, this is not about being hateful to any group of people. I wish no harm on men and whatever it is that they think of themselves. This is not about the men. This is about the women, the females, and about our dignity and our safety. And I would say to any women, any females out there that do find themselves coming across men in the changing rooms and all the rest of it, whether that's retail shops or gyms, do not be afraid to stand up for yourself. And I would say to organisations and service providers, it should not take female customers to have to go and try and take legal action in order for you to comply with the law. But be under no mistake, service providers, us women, we shouldn't have to take legal action. But I assure you, we will if you do not comply with the UK Supreme Court's judgment and keep us and our single-sex spaces exactly as they're meant to be, which is safe and women only, because, as Maya absolutely will stand for, sex matters.
Well, Michelle Dewberry, they mess with you at their peril, and they'll repent at their leisure in their leisure centres, which now can't include blokes in women's change rooms. Fantastic work, the both of you. And Michelle, once again, thank you for coming on the show on GB News Today to share your victory. Michelle Dewberry, and Executive Director of Sex Matters, Maya Forstater. Thank you very, very much indeed for joining us. Fantastic. Now, a spokesman for Virgin Active has told GB News this: we acknowledge the UK Supreme Court's judgment in April, which confirmed that the Equality Act 2010 defines sex in biological terms. We understand and accept that this ruling is legally binding on our business, as well as all other gyms and similar facilities across the UK.